Coming to you live from Georgia Tech, it's the Matt L. Podcast. Our next guest is my friend Rebekah Kadingo, who's a staff member with Chi Alpha Christian Fellowship this year, right?
Yes, it's my first year as staff.
How have you been?
I've been doing really good. Actually just got back from a missions trip on spring break and it was really awesome in Virginia. I still miss it because it's much more beautiful and cool there. Georgia's pretty hot. I don't like that. I'm doing pretty good.
Are you ready for some questions?
I am ready for some questions.
Were you born in Georgia?
I was, yes.
Have you lived your whole life in Georgia?
So far, yes.
You've probably been to other places on mission trips. Where else have you been?
I have only done 2 missions trips, one to Virginia and then the other one to El Salvador about 3 years ago.
Have you been to Canada or Mexico?
I have not. The closest thing to Mexico has been El Salvador.
Okay, so these questions are all over the place, but what are some stereotypes about people who are homeschooled that are false?
Well, for me, a lot of times when I tell people I was homeschooled, they're usually surprised because I'm very extroverted, and a lot of times people think because they're schooled at home that they aren't social at all. That was something really important for my mom, that she didn't want us to not be social, so she made sure we talked to people. I've always been a very talkative person, so it wasn't hard for me to talk to people. I've actually met more quiet people that went to a public school. And then a lot of people think that homeschoolers are a whole bunch of barefoot hippie liberal people. So they're like too good for the school program and what have you. But with me and my brothers, that also wasn't the case. We were homeschooled because the school system that we would have gone to that was available in our neighborhood would have been with kids that also beat us up in our neighborhood. Oh. So it's a very hard neighborhood, and my mom just thought that it would be better if we were in a safer environment. And to be honest, I don't think I'd be the person that I am now if I hadn't been homeschooled.
That's interesting that you say that, because I've only heard of, and I've only met Christians who were homeschooled with a Christian education. That the stereotype of homeschooled people is that they're liberal or liberals.
Well, in the neighborhood that we grew up next to in Avondale, there's like a big like homeschool group that are more kind of hippie-ish. So I think that's where I got that concept from, that idea.
You and your brothers seem to be very close, especially your relationship with your brother Nathan. I have a younger sister and would love to have a closer relationship with her, but we have very different personalities and temperaments. What are some things that you've found that have strengthened your relationship with your brothers?
Well, first of all, we've been close and then not close again and then close again. But from my end, a lot of prayer when I felt like I had made certain life decisions where I felt like they couldn't trust me. And I just sought God and prayed that we would be able to be close again. I think it takes a lot of patience and understanding, because when you grow up with people around you all the time, you can get annoyed at the little things, and realizing that you're different people and you can't have the same expectations for the way they're going to act or behave for the way you act and behave. Just because I do things one way doesn't mean they're going to do that, and same back. So I think having patience and understanding and being willing to realize that they're different, amazing people, and that, you know, we all, myself, my brothers, we all have different faults and different things that we do that annoy the other person, but it's just trying to be more understanding and appreciate the differences versus getting upset about the differences. And also a lot of prayer, and I know, like, for me, that I ask God to help me be close with them, and then also just enjoying each other's presence with whatever activity that person wants to do. Because personally, for my youngest brother, sometimes I don't want to watch the videos he wants me to watch with him, but because I love him, I do it anyways. And I ask questions about the videos and let him talk to me about what they mean, just because it's spending time with him. And so it means something to him, and sometimes he does stuff with me that I don't think he always wants to do. And so because it means something to me and he does that, it's like, as long as we're spending time together, that's the most important, not the activity. So sometimes doing things out of your comfort zone or things that you're not really interested in, again, just being patient and loving and understanding with one another. And then I'm blessed with really awesome brothers, so that helps. But we have had our differences and stuff, so I think, like I said, being patient and understanding and trying to respect each other as best as possible.
Are there any experiences that you wouldn't mind sharing that you've had with Nathan or Zach, your brothers, that caused you to be closer, that strengthened your relationship? Can you think of one that stands out?
Our spiritual relationships with God, because Nathan and I both got, we both became very active in our faith the same day. We both went to the same church service where we got prayed over just to receive like everything that God had for us, and we got filled with His Spirit. And that was a really big moment because Nathan and I both had been through a lot of teasing from an old youth group, and we were really, really hurt by that because that was our social group at the time, again, being homeschooled. So I think that going to a new church and starting over together and also going through that pain together helped. Also some physical elements within the family, like just when you have someone that you really, really care about go through pain and you really, really pray for them and you really, really cry over them, then you feel like they have a bigger place in your heart when you are upset on their behalf and you are seeking God on their behalf. So I think that as well. And then with Zach specifically, when he was born, my mom went through some struggles, and I helped take care of the household for a couple of years, a little bit more consistently, and part of it was spending a lot of time with Zach. And so he kind of became like my baby. He's 9 years younger than me, and so I helped a little bit with like raising him and taking care of him. Nathan and I both did, and so I think that's part of the reason why I'm really close with Zach, is because I had a bigger role in his life.
When did you become a Christian?
I grew up in a Christian family, but I knew like around age 13 to 15 that I wasn't getting what I should be getting. Like I was hungry for something, but I wasn't getting it. And the youth group we were going to wasn't really growing and wasn't really sharing things that I felt like I could learn from. And again, we were mistreated there. And when we went, we started going to a new church around when I was 16 years old, and had an experience with God at a service where they prayed for us to be filled with the Holy Spirit. And ever since then, I really started like actually having a real relationship with Jesus. Before that, I was actually depressed and very suicidal, and had really contemplated ending my own life. But I felt in my heart that if I ended it, I wouldn't end up. I felt like I was like, if I kill myself, then I'm not going to go to heaven, and so life won't be any better anyways. But I don't feel like anyone outside my family wants to care about me, so there must be something horribly wrong with me. And just really felt like I was alone. And when we started going to, we went to visit the new church, which is the Tabernacle, and I got filled with the Holy Spirit, I had this joy and freedom come over me, and I got set free from depression, and I got set free from a lot of insecurities over time, and God's still doing that in me.
That's great. What were you like before you became a Christian, and how are you different today?
I think I kind of just answered that question prematurely. Depressed before I really had like a real relationship with God. And that wasn't up until a certain age. When I was a little girl, I was pretty happy, but then our family went through a lot of struggles, and when I started realizing what those looked like, and I felt like no one would talk to me, I was very, very depressed and suicidal. And then now I am probably one of the happiest people you will meet.
Yeah.
And it's kind of crazy because like I had hope and joy, but it was kind of me forcing myself to try and be positive, versus now where I legitimately have like supernatural joy from God that can only be explained from God. And it says in His Word that the joy of the Lord is our strength. And I believe strongly that the positive attitude and the freedom that God's given me has helped me be a stronger person.
How have you been involved with Chi Alpha?
How did I get
Yeah.
to Chi Alpha? I actually, through a mutual friend at my old church, the one where I feel the Holy Spirit, they had a birthday party for my friend Chad, who married one of my best friends. Hey, Chad. But I had a birthday party for him, and we ended up watching Sharknado, and we had so much fun making fun of it that we decided to do another sci-fi film night where I met my friend Charles, who is part of Chi Alpha. My church had just gone through a transition where the senior pastor's wife, who was our youth director and also over a group of ministry students, transitioned to a new church. So all the ministry students who were around my age, who was my fellowship group, people my age to hang out with, transitioned with her. And so I felt very displaced, and I met Charles, and Charles invited me to hang out at Chi Alpha, which was like an opportunity for me to meet people around my age, college age, and everything, just have new brothers and sisters in Christ. And so I'd never been on tech campus before except for like an anime convention. And so I didn't really know where I was going, and he gave me directions, and thankfully I had a friend with me to visit that night who had also, he graduated from tech, so he's like, oh, I know where we're going. And I just met people there that I really, really clicked with. Alicia White is when I married Chad. She's one of them. She became my roommate and one of my best friends. And I just really loved the people there, and I felt like I was supposed to stay, and I've grown a lot since then.
You got the opportunity to baptize Amy Clark at the Recon conference.
Yes.
How did you feel emotionally?
So I tend to encourage people younger than me sometimes, and sometimes they become kind of like spiritual kids to me. She's definitely one of those people. I've watched her grow like so much since she's become part of Chi Alpha and started going to school at Georgia Tech. And she expressed to myself and Robbie, our director, that she wanted to get baptized. And we set up a time for her to get baptized at the conference because there would be availability and access to a pool, and everybody from our group would be there to encourage her. And she's someone that I meet up with once a week and just do encouragement and just talk about life. And her and I